avenge us. Run!
Yeah. Yeah. Lava.
You will be wise to surrender.
Oh yeah. Why Vader stop there? Oh. What? That's highly unlikely. She's not even a little crispy.
Such hatred. You would have made an excellent Inquisitor.
With Jedi Survivor having come out recently, I just want to make a review of Jedi Fallen Order so that we can get the thoughts of my first experience with the Jedi franchise and obviously all of our first experience with it out in the open before I start, my streaming of Jedi Survivor, hoping that many of these things have either been addressed, fixed, or done again, because some of the things that this game did right were pretty good, but much of it I really had a bad time with. Starting with the story, which is what I think most people applaud this game for, I really found the story to be pretty lame, honestly. And one of the biggest flaws of the story was the inconsistency of its characters. From Grease, who totally sells Cal into slavery to pay off some gambling debts, and then he just goes, sorry bro, and Cal's back on his side, to the Night Sister, who her whole motivation is that she wants to get rid of all of the Jedi, and she wants to get rid of the Sith that's on her planet, trying to brainwash her Night Brothers, using the Force. Which makes sense. She is a dark side aligned witch who, not necessarily aligned with the Sith. Not all of the people who are on the dark side are with the Sith. And it makes sense that she would hate the Jedi because, she's aligned with the dark side. But then she suddenly decides that she's going to be Cal's girlfriend, which is just that happens so quickly in the4 that it just gives you whiplash, and even more whiplash than Cal just suddenly forgiving Grease after he sells him into slavery. It's come on, have some sort of tension or consistency with someone's motivations here. It makes sense for Marin, I think the name of the Night Sister is, to side with Cal in trying to kill the Sith, because once Cal gets what he wants, he's going to leave the planet, and she gets to get rid of the Sith in the process that's on her planet. She just wants to be rid of all of this stuff on the planet of Dathomir. I think that's the name of the planet, right? And it just suddenly after that, she decides that not only is she in love with Cal, she's going to give up on everything she's ever lived for to help Cal rebuild the Jedi Order, which is just what the heck? And that's not the only example of something ridiculous like that in the story. It's just the most prominent. Man. Oh, what? Why is my guy walking this way? I'm not in control of him at all. Without dwelling too long on the story, let's get into the gameplay, because that's what really matters to me in a video game. The combat felt sloppy, and it was a game that really needed clean combat, because that was one of the core things about this game, was that it was going to be clean Sekiro-like combat. And it felt like there were hardly any bosses, and the boss fights that there were, they didn't feel very good to fight against. It felt like every time I would lose to them, it would be because the game betrayed me, and not because the boss legitimately outplayed me, or whatever. I'm a big fan of Dark Souls, and it is a very fun game to kind of grind against the bosses and go at them time and time again, and then try to figure them out, and then get beat by them because you messed up in one part. But in this one, you would try to get the timing perfectly on a parry, and it would feel like you did it perfectly, but then the game would just decide that the parry didn't count. Or you would go to lock on and switch locks in the final boss fight, and you would end up trying to take the droid and launch it at the second sister, and then nothing would happen. It wouldn't switch locks. It was just a pain in the ass. This was one of the big issues with the game overall was that it just wasn't polished, or at least it didn't feel polished, you know? It had all of the bones of what could have been a really fun game to play, and I could overlook a bad storyline and kind of lame writing overall if the game was fun to play. I mean, I'm someone who enjoys Mass Effect Andromeda, which is a horribly written game that is really fun to play because the game, when it's working, has really great mechanics and is just a blast gameplay-wise. This game could have been a blast gameplay-wise. It had all of the bones, like I said. I really like the mechanic where you have to hit the enemy to get all your XP back after they've killed you. That's a lot of fun, and you saw it at the beginning of this boss fight. I like that. I also enjoy the parrying mechanics when they worked. They were fun to use. I like timing stuff. The combos were fun. I love that stuff in games. It just didn't feel consistent. Same thing with the other aspects of the game, like the platforming, climbing, all those things. There would just be random times where the game would decide that I wasn't going to climb today. And it was just a really, really ridiculous experience overall. Wasn't in a fun way either. Like, some games are broken, but they're broken in a fun way. One of my favorite games of all time is The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which has its fair share of random glitches that show up here and there, but none of them really mess up your chance to have fun with the game. This game, that was the only kind of glitch it seemed like it had. Now, about 6 minutes of negativity, I'm sure, is plenty for anybody to listen to. Let's talk about what this game did right. So, the best parts of this game was the puzzle solving. I really, really enjoyed a lot of the puzzles. They felt like really good Star Wars themed Legend of Zelda level dungeon puzzles, and those are great. The only problem with that was that they didn't really show up that much. There were optional puzzles here and there, but those ones, you know, you would just pass them by trying to get to the next level, and there weren't that many level scale puzzles. Story wise, I felt that Cal's main arc throughout the game was just fine. I feel like it's actually one of the few examples of a modern Jedi story being told right, where it lets the main character fail. It let him fail, learn from his experiences, and, you know, take it to the end of the game where he's continued to learn, and now he's able to beat the second sister after, you know, obviously losing to her in the beginning. And it would have been cool if you could have beaten the second sister at the beginning, and then maybe when you get to that point in the story, it's Darth Vader just waiting for you there. That would have been really, really cool, because you still got to get the holocron, right? They could have just had, you know, any of the various bounty hunters in the game bring Darth Vader the holocron, and I can't remember if it's actually called the holocron. I'm just calling it that. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's a holographic chronicle of things. Has all of the Jedi babies logged on it. And the bounty hunter fights were great. I loved fighting the bounty hunters in this game. There is another issue with that, though, is that you would fight them, you'd lose to them, and then they're gone. You would go back to the same spot, and they're not there. And it really would have been cool to have been able to find them in your journey. You know, like, maybe not, you know, right at the door of the temple on Dathomir, I think it's called, right after you beat that Sith guy with the Night Sister. You know, maybe they're just a little bit further in the level, so if you can't get past them, you can continue the story, because it's kind of a break in the story when that happens. But I still like that, you know. And also with that thing with Grease, I feel like there could have been just any other reason for you to end up on that slave ship and doing the arena thing. Because I feel like the writers put themselves in a corner they didn't have to with Grease, selling you to them to pay off a gambling debt, because it never came back up. They could have just had it be where a powerful guy found out about Cal, this Jedi going around, and he paid top dollar for a mercenary to get him because he wanted to see Cal fight in his arena, and make some money off of people betting on him. Maybe Grease places a bet on Cal. Maybe you find out that Grease bet against Cal, but I don't know why you would do that, because again, that just puts you right back in the same corner that they painted themselves in. That made no sense, you know. There was no reason to do it. And when there's that tension between Cal and Grease that they do nothing with, it's because Cal needs Grease to fly him around. He's his ride. Just, you know, don't do that. Lastly, what do I want to see in Jedi Survivor when it comes time I play it? Well, I want to see fast travel points between the bonfires, because that was one of the silliest oversights. It's not even a glitch. It's like they just didn't put fast travel between the bonfire things, or whatever they're called, meditation points. They're bonfires. They're Dark Souls bonfires. Why would there not be fast travel points between them? I don't know. It makes zero sense. Put them there. Do it. It sucks to just go through the level when you want to explore. It's like I didn't do a lot of exploration in this game. I would find things that I wanted to come back to and check out, but it was just such a chore to go back and, you know, deal with the glitches getting there, and then show up there, you die, and then it's like, oh, well, I gotta come back here. Or you would go all the way through it, and then there's another journey or path that you see available to you in there that you didn't take, and then the one you did take took you to the exit, and then you're like, oh, well, I gotta go all the way back around. I can't just, you know, fast travel to that place that I've been to and then start from there again. It's just silly. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. I want to see more polished mechanics, because this game had great bones. Could have been a very fun game, but it wasn't because of the inconsistency of its mechanics. The key takeaway of what I want to see in Jedi Survivor is I want to see consistency. I want to see consistency in how the characters behave, aligned with their motivations. I want to see consistency in the mechanics of the game, actually doing what you expect them to do and what you're trained to expect them to do. I want to see consistency in what it draws inspiration from. Like, I want to see more puzzle dungeons in the dungeons you go into. I want to see more, just, you know, just the kind of mechanics you'd expect in a game that's inspired by Dark Souls. Why is there not bonfire fast travel? You know, well, why? It makes no sense, man. That was one of the most painful things, because it was just, you know that the developers intentionally did that, and it just sucked.
Where are they? Well, they're out there.
Whoa, hold on, wait a minute!
Sorry.
That was you in the water, wasn't it?
I'm glad you're okay. This one wouldn't leave
We
your
haven't
side.
had any time to become friends with this person. This is all new to me. Literally, 73% of the game was when she joined us, and 77% of the game is where the stream starts off.
The lives of every child on that list will be forever changed.
Not by us.
Yeah, the music was
Their
cool.
destiny should be trusted to the Force.
I would say that that was comparable to Darth Maul's theme. The Duel of Fates. Okay.
So where to now?